friends have never been more important than they are today. Everywhere you turn, there seems to be reasons to give up or not even try at all. We want to be the light in these times and an inspiration for others to keep pushing forward. My journey of growth comes through humility, and I welcome all who are looking to grow with me. Thanks for tuning in to the Crew First Culture Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back once again to the Crew First Culture Podcast. My name is Jeremy, and thank you for joining us today. Today, yet again, got some guests that I'm excited to bring on and discuss a topic that I've been looking forward to getting into for a while. And these two guys, hopefully you have heard of because they are also hosts of a podcast. One that I have really enjoyed kind of throughout my journey is just where I have been and where I'm going. And so that being the case, from the voices of Thin Red Line Radio, we have today Sean Eagen and John Hayowyk. How you doing, guys?
Hey, what's going on, Jeremy? How you been?
Good.
Doing very well. Happy to finally be able to sit down. We've been trying to get this going for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, always one thing or another, just like life in the fire service.
Absolutely. That's right.
Ever evolving. So, but doing good. Looking forward to
good deal.
Conversation here.
Good. So just before we jump into it, and we're kind of a little bit confined on time, so we'll get going pretty quick. But to give everybody an idea out there, if they haven't heard of you, a little quick bio from each of you, and we'll get started. Sean, if you want to go first.
Okay. So yeah, Sean again. I'm a captain with Buffalo, New York Fire Department. I've been just about 23 years. I've been there. I've been captain for going on 3 years now. Captain of Truck 7 right now, and co-hosting with John there, doing the podcast. It's a lot of fun, and that's how we ended up hooking up with you. So,
oh yeah,
absolutely. And my name's John Hayowyk. I'm a captain by rank right now as the City of Passaic Fire Department, a small city in New Jersey, just outside New York City. I'm actually in a different position. I'm in an acting battalion chief's position. I'm awaiting promotion right now, so I'm sitting in the seat. So I'm sort of wearing two hats. I'm like the step teacher right now, the substitute teacher and in just waiting. But I've been in the fire service 27 years, been on the job in Passaic, just completed 20 back in October. And with this new position, it's definitely interesting what we're going to be talking about on our topic today about communication and micromanaging and some of those dirty words that they throw out there when you rise up through the ranks.
Well, again, it's good to have you guys on. I'm looking forward to it, and thank you for your time. To get started, I've tried to look around to find something really that explained where I was at on the topic that we're going to discuss. And so I found just a little bit of a clip, and I'll read that first and we'll get into it. But really today, kind of like John alluded to, today we're going to talk about trust in the fire service, and dig it even further deeper into that is micromanagement versus empowerment and the effect that both of those have on us. So this is what I found. It says micromanagement kills ownership and promotes a lack of trust. In contrast, empowerment cultivates a culture of trust and energizes initiative within a company's culture. And I don't think that I could sum it up any better than that right there. I think that's exactly kind of where I was mindset wise when just kind of looking for somebody to talk about this with, because that's what it's all about to me. Trust is so important in the fire service, and there's a way to gain that trust and there's a way to lose that trust, and it's pretty easy, I would say. So what do you guys
Jeremy, let me jump in on that.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Gaining that trust takes years. To lose that trust takes seconds.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that you have. Your word is your bond, your handshake is your bond. And, and that's what we build up our career on is the trust factor, starting out everybody wants to be known as a good fireman and be trusted as that good fireman. And then eventually bump up if you do promote, you're a good officer. And then moving up further, you're a good leader. And it's so easy in, I guess, today's society, that trust and miscommunication go hand in hand with social media, with an email. Years ago, things were face to face, or even on a phone call conversation. You can hear the tone of the people. Now you shoot an email or a quick text to somebody, and if you don't follow it up with 15 different emojis explaining what your actual feeling is, they've got no clue what your potential intent is.
Yeah. I was thinking, you kind of hit it too, Jeremy. You just talked about, like, we just had this conversation last night at the station where how a different individual's mannerisms can be misconstrued as micromanaging, or even as lack of confidence. So, for example, the discussion we had was, this young lieutenant said, they were at a car fire, and he said to the chief, he said, Chief, I think we got it. What do you think? And the chief's response was, well, what do you think? You tell me, and the lieutenant was kind of taken back by it. And I said, well, don't you think that he was empowering you? He's showing that he trusts you. If you're it's your scene, you're the guy. If you think it's good to go, then I'm not going to double check it. I know personally, and I'm sure it goes the same, is that nothing frustrates me more than I make a call and say, whatever, Chief, we got it. We'll hold with 1 and 1, or we'll hold with the engine, and they said, well, I'll be on scene in a minute. I teach my guys, I train my guys. Like, I want smart thinking firefighters. I want my guys to think for themselves and understand what they're doing. I don't want to use the word, but like zombies, you know what I mean? I don't want people to just stand there like shepherds waiting to be told what to do. And if you are a micromanager, you breed that kind of, almost like, I don't know if it's complacency or apathy or whatever it is. Well, he's gonna disagree with what I say anyways, so I'm just gonna stand here and wait till he tells me what to do. That it's a problem. I mean, I've dealt with officers like that, I've dealt with chiefs like that, and I still do sometimes. Not my current chief, in case he's listening.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the whole, another maybe way of putting it, is the whole mother may I system of, and maybe it's a little bit different than what you're talking about, but you've got to ask before you do anything. Okay, there's a searchable room over here. Can I go search that? Or we found fire. Can we put water on it? I mean, it's like, and I know that's a kind of maybe a stupid example, or taking it a little bit further than the norm, but still, trusting firefighters to do firefighter things it's to me, it's hard to imagine why that's necessary. And I don't know, there's a lot that goes into that, I'm sure. Just getting out with the people that you're in charge of, and training with them, and seeing their capabilities, and knowing their strengths, their weaknesses. And I mean, that right there gains some trust, and gains some of what both of you have already talked about as far as what you've seen. And so there's so many different things that kind of build and grow into that.
There's nothing more frustrating. Sorry, John. There's nothing more frustrating than, for example, I delegate a task to you, Jeremy, and whatever it may be, go roll the hose, go clean the ladders, do whatever. And then I stand there and, oh, you're going to do it that way? Oh, you're going to clean it doing that? And I mean, and seriously, if you wanted it done a certain way, either A, tell me, or B, just let me do it. Let me do my thing. And, it's a huge problem. And I think if one of us could come up with the magic pill to cure micromanaging, we would maybe be able to retire from service and go, live on an island somewhere. So, what were you gonna say, John?
I was just going to talk about that. So my current experience, I've been on the shift since as the new tour commander since October. You need to meet your people. You need to understand who they are. So I came from the opposite shift. So I never saw these individuals. The only time I'd get over there is if there was for us, it would be a rehire shift. So I'd work a night shift with these guys. And again, sometimes you know them, sometimes you don't. We're a small enough department that I know everybody's face and name, which is great, but you don't know how they operate. and you don't want to go based on prior knowledge, if you know what I mean, like word of mouth from other people.
Yeah.
So you got to see, and when I first got to the tour, I met with the officers. I gave them my expectations, and communication was huge. And explaining of what my expectations were. And I came out and I told them right off the bat, I said, listen, these first couple months, I'm going to sit back. I'm not looking to make major changes. I want to observe. I want to see how you're operating inside the firehouse and out on the runs. I want to ensure that our policies and procedures are being adhered to, and the safety of our apparatus, our manpower, and the civilians are taken care of. And I think by setting that expectation, it gave me a little open door for me to be in different spots. Obviously, I'm going to spend more time in the station I'm assigned to, but I'm going to be going to the other station to watch what's going on, ensure that things are getting done, speak with the officers, speak with the manpower and the members, as well as on scenes. I might be going to car accidents where I'm not normally assigned to that, just to watch and ensure that we got things going on, or I'm listening more intently on the radio to see what they have. The other night we had a motor vehicle accident with possible entrapment. An entrapment I'll tend to roll on, but I sat back and waited for the first arriving units to get on scene, give the report. Nope, I didn't have to ride on it. It wasn't entrapment. So there's a fine line, especially when you first start out as a newer officer or a boss, or for me as a tour commander, just to find that. And some people are going to maybe take not offense, but if you're different from the previous boss, like I'm a very hands-on person. I love the job. I'm passionate about it. And my passion may come off that, hey, I want to be there all the time. And maybe the other officer was laid back. And so those vibes of what I'm giving off may cause people to be taken back. If that makes sense.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, there's so many little details that go into it, and maybe even a better place to kind of lay this foundation before we go any further into it is something we kind of about before we started recording, is just the definition of micromanagement and the definition of empowerment, and the what those mean to everybody. And if you haven't worked for somebody that truly is a micromanager, and you just have kind of heard what that is, you might not even really understand what a micromanager is. And John, you kind of discuss whatever you want to as far as your situation and the miscommunication of that. But it's funny because I didn't even really see communication being a part of this conversation, but the more you guys talk about it, it absolutely is. And so, that breeds a kind of maybe an environment to really see what's truly going on. And maybe he's not micromanaging, maybe he's just needing the information because that's his job. And so either one of you kind of go into that a little bit more.
Yeah, I'll go into that a little bit. Sometimes, again, newer bosses are going to ask for things. We all have our responsibilities and our tasks, but it's important to know that maybe I have a different priority than the past officer did. So maybe I want something different than the other officer, and that changes up. So that change potentially could be seen as micromanaging, even though it's still getting done. But now the time frame changed on certain things. And again, that's a communications aspect. And even knowing whether, hey, I just need certain information, I don't need all of it at once, especially just talking about admin stuff and, accountability and writing assignments and stuff like that early on. But but that's just a specific that we were talking about earlier before we got going.
But that's even a perfect example, John, is that like in our situation, our discussion earlier is that person thought he or she was being micromanaged, but it was an area of misunderstanding. And that happens all too often. Something as simple as the manpower for the next shift. I need my manpower by 9:30. Well, why? Like, we work until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Why are you busting my chops about it? But realistically, is that, if it's coming from my chief officer to me, for example, he's got 8 companies he has to deal with. So by having it by 9:30, it gives them time to get it, because he has to send it to his higher ups. And so a little bit of it comes from the individual who, a little bit of accountability lies with them too. Are you really being micromanaged, or are you just, misunderstanding what's being said to you? The, there's a lot that comes into it. I mean, I know people I've thought were like, well, man, why does this guy ride me so hard? And turns out it's just their personality. Some people are definite true micromanagers. Some are just very organized, which could be deemed micromanaging. You know what I mean? If you're an autocratic person that everything has to be boom, 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 boom for everything you do, I could see it. You know what I mean? But if you're more like me, if you ask me my leadership style, it's kind of situational, right? Like, there's times where I'm going to weigh the votes. What are we doing for the meal? What are we doing maybe for drill today? But some people aren't like that. Some people are so regimented, and that's,
Yeah.
It's not a character flaw for some. It's just the way they were brought up.
Yeah.
One of the guys I know very well and I respect, he was a Marine for so long, and that's just the way he is, and he makes no bones about it. And once you get to know that, you respect it, and you get it, and you say, okay, I see where you're coming from now, Chief. It's not just, you're not just being a jerk, for lack of a better term. That's your personality. And okay, cool, I get it.
Yep.
Tomorrow I'll make sure you have that information by the time you request it. No questions asked.
Yeah. And the good part is, once you have that odd conversation or that difficult conversation to try and explain both sides, and you truly have to listen. You have to listen to what the other side's observation. And sometimes that's a tough pill to swallow. Like, hey, what am I doing to micromanage you? And because I'm like, I worked for a micromanager many years ago and I didn't like it. So I don't want to be doing that. And putting that back into their control to explain it, and then having that conversation, and then getting that understanding of, hey, it's a miscommunication and it's not a true micromanaging, because the definition is not there. I'm not telling you how to send that information to me. I just need that information.
Yeah.
So it's and then being able to come out of that and both people having a win, because one person doesn't feel the pressure of the other person, and vice versa.
Yeah. I think that's kind of a good line in the sand. What you're both kind of talking about is, for me, just personally, if I'm explaining things, there's a difference between a person that says, okay, we're going to start doing things. We're going to eat in the morning at 8, get done. We'll discuss some quick drills for 30 minutes. We'll go out, find something to do out in our district for, the next couple of hours. We'll come back and eat at so-and-so, and just kind of laying out the day. That's a structure. You're structuring, or you're leading with, some type of structure, as opposed to somebody that says, as soon as we get done with breakfast, we're going to go through EMS drills. And, when you do that, I want you to read every sentence, and I want you to really, focus on 3 of those points. And when we go run a drill outside, I want to make sure that everybody, just digging into, like you said, John, how everything has to happen. And, as somebody that is in charge of firefighters, I honestly don't know why you would want to be like that, because it puts so much on you as that leader, as that micromanaging leader, that doesn't have to be there. You tell the troops the goal and let the troops do their job. And it's the whole decentralized command type Jocko conversations. And God, I don't know why I would ever want to do that as an officer, as a leader. I don't want that.
So there's a perfect, a perfect example of, why you would, you not being able to understand. Going back to what I talked about, maybe it's just that person's personality, and maybe it's that person has wild insecurities, and that's why they're so, everything has to come from me because I need it to be my idea. I can't have Jeremy go to the chief and say, oh, hey, this is the drill I want to do today, because the chief's gonna be like, damn, why didn't Sean think of that? It could be coming from an insecure standpoint, could be coming from a young officer, maybe inexperienced, maybe working with, versus somebody that's just like we talked about before, just that type of regimented personality that is, I need to know this, and it's not because I'm busting your balls, it's just the way I am. And
Yeah.
I think that all requires a conversation, and especially if you're new to a crew or you have a new firefighter come over, that's part of it. Like, hey, here's where I am, here's my hard and fast, like this is how I operate. I'm not going to change. It's just the way I am. And it's not micromanaging, because I value your input and I value your ideas, but you have to understand it. This is the way this is the way I operate. And I don't know if that's an answer or not, but coming from a level of insecurity could be a wicked, wicked truth. I don't know enough, so I'm not gonna look or seek out your input. I'm gonna tell you, and I don't, whether I'm right or wrong, we're gonna live and die by my word. Literally potentially die. So,
Sean, you talked about that Marine officer. You know what? One of the things that I liked when I was a captain, as a house captain, I put up our daily duties, what we had to do, our drill, because we have an assigned drill because it comes out from training division. But you put it on the blackboard. I love the chalkboard. You sign, you put the stuff up there, and everybody does it. But it doesn't matter unless there's a specific time frame that comes down from the higher ups, from headquarters, whether you wash windows first or you're doing a different detail. That's just hey, this is what we got to get done. We're not telling you how to do it, but get it done when it's supposed to get done within our 24-hour shift. And I think firemen like to know what to expect. They like their expectations. They want to know what they've got to do. Obviously breakfast is key for us. We're having breakfast, and then you have that normal routine, but sometimes that routine gets thrown off by runs. Life in the firehouse is dynamic. You never know where you're going to be at any given time, but you know that there are certain things that have to get done. We do disinfection right now. We're spraying our firehouses twice a day. So as guys are doing apparatus and equipment check, we have another firefighter that's going through spraying every room of the firehouse, deconning it and disinfecting it because of this COVID thing. And then, but 2 years ago, we weren't doing that. So we had to add that in. It's just a new thing, and we're not telling anybody how to do it. It's just that, hey, let's get it done. And if there needs to be improvement on how to get it done, that's when there's a training aspect. And I think it's important as leaders, company officers and beyond, that you have that sort of that instructor background, because that sort of helps you try and explain things in different ways, right? Tying a knot. How many different ways can you tie a bowline? There's a bunch of different ways. I can teach probably 2 or 3. There's another guy that's a ropes and knots guru. He can probably teach 5. But in order to reach that student that can't get it the way I'm teaching it, the one way, I got to try and teach it a different way. And I think that's huge for company officers and leaders within the fire service.
Yeah. And, something else, this example we keep bringing up, this kind of super structured officer that likes things a certain way versus somebody that is micromanaging. I think another differentiating factor is you can have that person that him or her that likes things structured, but still empowers people to do things, still, puts that I'm trying to think of the responsibility to get those tasks done on others. And that is the difference. Yes, the structure is there, and to some that might feel so confining and oh my gosh, they've got to have their hand in everything. Well, not really. They just have to have that kind of in place because that's who they are. But they're going to empower you to be responsible to get something done, and they're going to, put that on other people to build them up. And that is a true difference between the two for me. Absolutely.
Oh, 100%. And yeah, is it attention to detail? strong attention to detail, or is it micromanaging? Because the lines are probably blurred sometimes. I say that to my guys a lot, and I like to empower my crew to, I have a rookie, brand new, fresh out of the academy right now, and another guy that's been on a couple years, but he's brand new to the truck. So we go out to drill, and I want them to lead the drills. I mean, I'll talk to them privately. Hey, here's what we're going over today. Make sure these are the key points. Cover this, 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 and this. And then I let them do their thing. And I don't stand there nodding my head yes or shaking my head no while they're talking. I let them do their thing. Oftentimes I'll occupy myself elsewhere where I can hear them. But and then anything that they may have missed, I just kind of work in when I say, hey, to summarize what John was just talking about. And also don't forget to retie the halyard at the end of the whatever the case may be. But attention to detail and micromanaging, like I mentioned, those are very, very close. And some people resent that, especially if it's coming from a young officer or in a situation where you have acting, maybe somebody acting up or acting on a title, who's this guy think he is? He's just like me, except today he's the boss. So why is he all over me,
Sean, I'm going to touch on that. That goes into a lot of the trust factor of empowering of your senior man or your senior firefighter on your apparatus, and letting them lead that drill and teach the rookie, because that brings trust and empowers them to show that, hey, this is what we do, this is how we do it, and this is why we do it. And again, by you sitting back and listening to maybe some important facts that may have been missed, because you know what, we don't remember everything. Sean, how many times do we teach a class and the class is always different because we're adding a different story or something new that came in? So
all the time.
Even teaching a basic class, you're like, oh, hey, I got something new. I got a value added statement for this, and throwing that out there. But that breeds trust in the company and in the officer, that you trust your members to instill the new lessons with a junior firefighter or a rookie firefighter. That's huge. And again, going back to that chalkboard idea, as long as the check marks get done, or if it gets erased, we know it's done. And that's passing the information up, whether it's a direct, hey, chief, we got this done, or hey, cap, house cap, hey, we got that accomplished. It's all good. And we know it's done. We're not riding somebody. Hey, did you do it? Did you do it? Did you do it? If you're riding somebody, you're going to cause problems.
And it also, to go along with that, if you have to ride somebody, then there's something that needs to get better. And it obviously what I'm talking about is you as the leader. If you're having to prod somebody along, there's probably something you need to be doing better to lead that person, or to teach them, or something. You need to pick something up, because that shouldn't have to be the case. We're working with adults. We're in charge of grown men and women, and we should be able to treat them as that. So
yeah, that's for sure. And I have that sort of discussion often, like, yes, we're all adults here. These types of conversations, or these reminders, if you will, shouldn't need to happen. And I always preface it by saying, despite the way we operate. Listen, let's face it, sometimes the firehouse could be like a social club, the Boys and Girls Club, in terms of it's like a contest to see who can get a bigger TV next, but I said, despite all that, despite these terrific meals that we have, and the camaraderie and the friendship and the brotherhood and sisterhood, this is where we work. This is a place of employment, and it has to be treated as such. And there's a thing floating around lately on the internet where it says, welcome to station X, and it says, this is a firehouse, not a fire station. Treat it as you would treat your house. And these are people aren't your coworkers, they're your family, and treat them as if you may take your last breath with them someday. Like, how, that's like, whoever came up with that, it was that should be hung at every fire station in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The family aspect, I talked on that with my when I was a house captain. Hey, we're a family, and guess what? Families sometimes are going to disagree, right? What family doesn't disagree? We're going to have our different viewpoints, And that's important, but it's how we get past those differentiating viewpoints, those different viewpoints, to come to an agreement is what makes the family stronger.
Respect. I mean, that,
Right.
I think you sum it up one word, it's respect. You know, you treat somebody with respect, and hopefully you are, receiving respect in return, especially in that group, in that firehouse, that crew, and that, basically what you're saying, that family. It should, everything that happens should revolve around respect. I think that's huge, huge, huge.
I agree.
And that respect goes back to that lack, maybe the lack of micromanaging or the empowerment of your individuals. You're not going to be respected if you're riding everybody. I've seen in my career, I've seen chiefs get iced. They pull into the firehouse, the officer says hello to them, and everybody else, boom, out of the day room, out of the kitchen. And, is that respect? Heck no. But why? Why did it get there? And again, it's not for me to figure out, but if it's happening to me, it's absolutely the reason why I got to figure out what's going on. What did I do? And how do you do that? And again, that's ownership. As ownership of your actions and your words. And we just caught was a couple shifts ago. We just caught a nice third alarm fire, second alarm on arrival, and my tour did a great job. The guys and girls did phenomenal. They saved probably, we had a board up house with extension to either exposure on both sides, and we were able to save the D exposure and the B exposure with minimal damage to the B. But they worked long and hard and fought hard and with minimum staffing. And I praise them left and right. They, that was my first fire with them and their first fire with me. And I told them from the beginning, listen, I'm going to keep you safe. We're going to do things to get you home to go. Sean and I are both advocates for the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation. We talk about everybody goes home. That's important. So my promise to them is to keep them safe and to do our job and get that fire out as quickly as possible, save property and lives. And that occurred. It was great. I was riding a real big high, and I still am regarding that. I look at the fire that we had on arrival, and it's huge, and that's commanding up and down the chain. I passed the report on to the chief of the department that, these guys were aces. They busted their butt for what we had, and it's good. Sometimes, why can't you just roll up to a room and contents and it's a real one-line job or the backup? Dude, we started right off with like 3 lines and a tower ladder going into operation. So, aerial master stream was off the stick. But again, it's those things that you have to, that's that bank of trust that you get from your people, and you got to trust them when they're inside. How many times have we heard, no, chief, I got this, 2 more minutes. And you're seeing everything else on the outside going to hell in a handbasket. And we did our after action review, and I'm like, guys, thank you for not asking for that extra 2 minutes. Because what I saw, we needed to pull out of the main fire building, get into the exposure, which was occupied, and make sure we do a primary and get lines in there. And they saved it. The fire extended to the 2nd floor in the attic, and our guys made the push. Our attics are all occupied. We had two apartments in that attic, unfortunately. We have a very, very densely populated city. But again, I threw the praise down to them and up to the chief of the department and the deputy above me to pass that information up and down. And that's important on anything, passing that, the leading up and down the chain. Another Jocko term.
I like that respect has been brought up in this conversation, just along with all the other, kind of keywords that we're discussing here, because it's so important that all these little things are like little puzzle pieces, and you got to have some of these pieces or it's just not going to go together. And respect is another big one. And it, like you said, it comes from these things that we're talking about. When I am given a task by somebody above me and they show trust in me that I'm going to take care of it, and that I'm going to do a good job, and they just are okay with me taking care of it. That builds trust from them in me. That builds trust in them, for me, and that also builds respect back and forth. And that respect is so huge, because respect will make somebody go that extra mile. The difference between a crew that respects their officer and a crew that doesn't respect their officer is incredible. I feel like I have some pretty good respect in my crew. And that's kind of the message I run everything off of, because I want to take care of them. I want to make sure that they are taken care of. So hopefully that will build respect. And me doing that, I know that they will go above and beyond to do what needs to be done, if not only just to make me look good. And gosh, that goes a long, long ways.
It's funny. I changed my bag. I used to have a bag that I carried on the apparatus with me when I was riding in the company, and I was changing my bag out because I don't need a lot of this stuff. But as I was clearing out my bag, I had 5 bottles of water, 3 bottles of Gatorade, and I was wondering, like, why is my bag so heavy? And I forgot I had all this, because you never know if because I was on the mutual aid truck at one time. Sometimes you're by yourself, so you gotta take care of your people. It's not just for me; it's for my company. I had granola bars and stuff like that. You got to take that quick 5-minute refresher as your bottle's getting changed out, especially in the middle of the night. You need a little something to fill your belly, or you need that drink. If they don't have any, we didn't have the canteen or whatever else was there. It starts at the bottom up. You got to take care of your essentials. That Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Take care of your essentials, and then that's gonna build. And if your guys know that you're gonna take care of you, you're gonna take care of them. They're gonna take care of you, like you just said.
Absolutely. We got Sean.
He's pondering. I can see it.
No, no, you nailed it. I mean, it's you guys are all making real good points, and I suppose the idea. Clearly we all have our frustrations dealing with this currently or in the past, and trust is one thing for sure, and I work hard, and I have hard conversations with my crews and explain that to them, that I want, I hold them to this standard because I want them to operate like I'm there, whether I'm there or I'm not there, whether it's another captain in my spot or whether one of them's acting up, and I don't mean acting up like our kids do. I mean acting up, you know what I mean, into my chair. But and that's where, sometimes those hard conversations have to happen. And I'm personally not actually, on the same level but different. I have a certain way that I like to open a roof, for example. I worked on a truck for a lot of my career. We ventilate peaked roofs, whether you like them or like it or don't. We do it all the time. And I had one way that worked for me well. But I got to my crew and they were established and they had a way. And it's getting back to the knot tying thing. And I talk about it all the time because I want to teach my new guys my method. But I can't. I'm setting them up for failure if I'm teaching them the method that my crew doesn't. My crew's very, very good. I'm blessed to have them. So I don't want to reinvent the wheel. They have a way they do it and it works and it's fast and it gets the job done. I mean, so I can't change it. But other people would come in and say, no, it's my way or the highway. And that's where you start to run into problems, and you run into, who's this guy? He's just here for a cup of coffee. I've been here for 20 something years. But building that trust is hard. And I think the more you get to know your crews, the more you have those difficult conversations, they see where you're coming from. So maybe they don't really, what? Cap's just like that. That's just his personality. He's not busting my chops, micromanaging me. He's got that attention to detail, like I mentioned earlier.
And Sean, like you said, you learned a different way, and coming to Truck 7, they do it a different way. But by showing them potentially your old way,
100%.
That's plan B.
Yeah,
things don't go right on how they do it. We can always drop back. What were we always told? We always have plans A, B, and C, and all the way down to
absolutely.
Z and back.
And while you're working on A, you're thinking about B, C, and D. But absolutely, and that's the same. That's the exact talk we have. I say, in some circumstances, depending on the conditions, depending on the roof, I may just send a team of 2 and the other 2 are going to be reassigned. Well, the way I learned was always a 2-person operation. You get a nice big juicy vent hole open with just 2 individuals. The other 2 guys are free to go do search, go do outside vent, go do whatever the chief needs them to do. But you're right. There's a million ways to skin a cat, and we could, we're not talking tactics here, but if we wanted to, we could. And I have that talk at all is like, be good at one, but have these others available to you, but it's all part of building your crew and building your culture to which, obviously that's what we're talking about here is, and it's important that, like, I posted a post last night on, from the firehouse I was working at, old house. There's an old picture of the truck 7 from the 1890s, 1898.
The horses.
And, like, that's what I love about, yeah, it did. It literally said, hook and ladder 7, the harnesses or whatever they're called, drop down, the horses stand up and get into, and
Get in position. They know what the job is.
But so, like, so much of it, not to get off topic, but so much of our current cultures and traditions could go bye-bye because there's nobody there to share it, and,
Yep.
but
And that's part of our job as officers, to keep that culture and instill the good culture, of the fire service, pass on those traditions that are redeemable, that have to be passed on for future generations. And you know what? Sometimes people are complaining about this new generation of firefighters. Well, if you complain about the new generation of firefighters, I'm going to look at the older generation of firefighters that's not doing the job to pass on those traditions and cultures to the newer generation, and then explain why it's important.
Yeah, and something that I wanted to go back to, that, Sean's example of the way you like, to vent and stuff like that. I think that's a very good example of just a leadership maturity, knowing that I am very comfortable and confident in the way I do things, but I see that they are doing things a different way, but I also see that they are very competent in what they're doing. And so I trust that they can get it done. And that's going to show them that, yeah, Captain shows me a way that he would rather do it, but he still trusts me to do it the way we've always done it. So that makes me feel like, that it just builds and builds and builds. I have trust in him because he has trust in me, and it just kind of just back and forth, and it grows. And but it, like I said, that leadership maturity to truly drop your ego and say, okay, I like it this way, but the way you're doing it is good. It gets the job done. So let's go with it. That's a pretty cool kind of example you gave there.
and that could be the same vein as, maybe I come in as the new captain to a crew that's already established, and I'm the micromanager while I learn their skill sets, while I see what they have, because I come in and I very much observe. I don't come in like, again, my way, highway. I come in and here's how they drive, here's how they operate, here's how they do the rig checks, here's how they this, and I don't say anything, and it just takes it all in. And when the time comes, I'm like, you know what, I can live with this, I'm okay with that, but this needs to change. And I think by doing it that way, the guys and the gals understand that, okay, cool, Cap's not just saying it's my rig now, do it or go. He's got an idea that's going to work, and he's going to hear me out why we've done it, why we've done the rig checks this way instead of that way, or why we've done. And I think you garner that level of respect, and they understand that your opinion is important and your opinion matters to me, and I want to hear it. But ultimately, I'm tasked with making the final say and making the final decision. And going back to the earlier, sometimes that decision is as simple as, do we want ham or turkey? But sometimes it's a matter of go or no go, right? And that's where the trust comes in.
Sean, you're absolutely right. You're going to set your people up for success. I think that's a phrase that I tend to use when speaking with individuals as well as companies, and now as a tour commander. I'm going to give you the powers and the tools to do what you got to do to set you up for success, because that's what our job is. Sean, you hit your nail on the head with that. The little things in the firehouse and how they get done will lead to a go, no go choice on the fire ground. And if you know that they listen to you in the firehouse and do that thing, they know that you're going to take care of them on the fire ground when you say, no, not this building, the next one. Or, hey, this building now, we've got it. Make the push.
Yeah. And that's the, going back as far back as their days in the academy. Man, why are you riding these guys so hard about going to the bathroom in pairs or going to, and, the simplest things that seem silly to the outside world, but they have to understand that, when the push comes to shove, just to your example, hey, we need to go. There's no time for debate. It's go time. We need to get out of here because the building's going to fall down. Well, Kev, I don't know. It looks okay to me. If I can't, that's all part of going way, way, way back. And I've had this discussion. I think we actually talked about it on a podcast before that. If I can't trust you to mop the floor, how can I trust you to get me home safe, help me get home safe? And it's all part of, and some people misconstrue that as micromanaging, and it's not.
You're absolutely right, Sean. Like you said, why do the rookies go to the bathrooms in pairs, in rookie school, in the academy? Because now we're going to send 2 people down to go shut the utilities off in a basement, which might have a low oxygen area or content. And one person, if they go, they may become overcome. But if you got 2, you're able to work together, smarter, safer, all that other stuff. Everything is a stepping stone. And each level is a new level of trust and respect. And it builds upon that foundation.
This is a great kind of, I love how these conversations just kind of, they go, and it's interesting that they keep hitting on things that I want to really bring up. But I love all of these things at the station, these little tasks that Sean and both of you have talked about, just trying to pass on as much as possible at the station, to where nothing is emergent, nothing is dangerous. It's just the little things, the little lessons that we can learn, the little times that we can pass on a little bit of leadership on somebody, or kind of push them outside of their comfort zone to teach a little bit more. There's so many times at the station or driving around, whatever, away from incidents, that we could be using to grow people's leadership, to grow their confidence, everything. And I love trying to find these things. And just a quick example for me personally is we've needed to do some work on our bunker gear closet. It was a mess, and we wanted to build some type of organization in it. Well, I've got a guy that is one of the newest guys on the department, very young. And so I wanted to empower him to come up with the design for it and all that, because he likes woodworking. And so it was a good fit, a good chance to put something on him and just show him that I trust him, and for him to build that confidence. And I knew that he was working on it a little bit, but it wasn't getting done. I wasn't seeing it happen. And so finally I put my driver, I just kind of, a day that I was gone, so my driver was in charge, I sent him a text just kind of behind the scenes saying, hey, do me a favor. I put this on so-and-so to kind of empower him to get something done and do something good. I haven't seen it yet. Could you kind of nudge him and let him know that that's what I'm doing? I'm giving this to him to prove himself. Just let him know, because maybe he didn't really see it like that. And so sure enough, in a couple hours, I was texted the designs and the material list and everything else. And so that is just one tiny example of just keep your eyes open, find ways to let people prove themselves, find ways to let people grow as a leader, grow as a person. Just there's so many ways that we can help other people constantly. We just got to keep our eyes open.
I'm going to say I stole this from somebody, and I'm not sure exactly who it is, but watch for your people to do things right. You know, it's so easy to find the things that are wrong and that we have to change, but look for the things that they're doing right. And a lot of times what they're doing right isn't, you know, isn't brought up, or, you know, isn't, hey, nice job on that. Throwing a little nice job or a, hey, strong work with that goes a long way with credibility, goes along with trust. And again, the respect aspect. You know, anybody can find something wrong and dig at it and whatever else. But again, find something right. You know, if you're walking past, is it that type of person that's walking past a piece of trash and just keeps walking, or bends down and picks it up and then throws it out? It's those are the little things, and the little, I'll call them tests, that are out there that you can see the personality of the person.
I agree with that. Yeah, that's big. You know, you empower your people to be better, and it's going to help them down the road in their career if they decide to go up in rank. And you know, you hope that you hope you're one of the officers that they want to emulate, not one of the ones they want to be the opposite of. You know what I mean? So, and it is, Jeremy, like you said, you know, the little things that you can solve in the station, that kind of the, you know, a quick little attaboys, like whatever it is, something as simple as the guys decided, you know, the ladders got, the platoon before us had a job the night before, ladders were all muddy from the, you know, they pulled the rig out, they had the ladders all washed and cleaned, and without even, you know, being asked or being told. And like silly things like that matter, because so many people wouldn't think to do it. Oh, the ladder's dirty, big deal. It's always going to be dirty. It gets stuck in the ground, in the mud, you know. But
oh, hey, we're supposed to watch them on Thursdays, you know.
Right,
the little
exactly.
things, it can wait. No, it's not about waiting. You know,
the grass is due on Thursday, but it's going to rain all weekend. Why not cut it on Wednesday? You know, like that's the stuff that, those are small little victories, especially with a younger department like mine. Is they don't have that. You know, we have 5 or almost, Christ, I think it's like 550 or so with less than 10 years on. You know, it's a lot. It's a huge turnover. And, you know, the 10-year people now are veterans, but they're still 10-year people. You know what I mean? And, you know, if you had, say, 50 of them from the 2009 class was the first big hire they started. And of those 50, if you take the 50% rule, 50 are just there kind of for the paycheck, and 20% are really into the job. 10% are kind of into the job, but they're cool, you know, just to lay low and do the bare minimum. And, you know, so you have this many, you know, 20% trying to carry on your cultures and traditions and teach and help the officers to keep those things going. And, you know, like I said, it's little things like we still do the logbook, and we still write in certain, you know, we have pens with, you know, a pen like this we have red ink or blue ink on one side or black ink on one side, and they took this piece off and stuck a red ink on the other side. So when you're logging your runs in the book, you put it in red and you flip the pen around and write, you know, so silly things like that. Like that's a dumb little thing.
That's huge.
But in the big picture, somebody in the 1940s came up with it, and I think it should be carried on, you know, like, you know, and in the end of the day, it doesn't mean much, but it's pretty cool. Or you'd have 2 pens taped together, you know, fireman ingenuity, you know. But
it's Sean, along those lines, you know, when I was a firefighter coming back from runs, especially on a snowy day, Jeremy, you guys might not get that much snow, right?
Not much,
but
enough.
Enough, yeah.
But every time we come back from a run, I'd rinse the rig down. I wouldn't wash it, but I'd rinse it, because we wash it in the morning, and then I'd rinse it. And guys are like, why? I'm like, well, look at the salt, look at the sand that's on the side of it. A, I want it reflective, and B, I don't like a grimy looking rig. And that was me as a firefighter, you know, and I sort of instilled that in some of the younger firefighters that are doing it. And it still gets done today. Sometimes when it's rainy out, we just had a really bad rainstorm blow through, and our guys are out. They're pretty busy, but things come back, and guys got a hose out there spraying it down. They don't re-rack the hose. They let it stay out, you know, and maybe, you know, an officer like, hey, how come that's laying out? Well, no, I understand that, because when the rig backs in, they give it a quick rinse, right? Take care of the grime and everything else. And we're ready to go. I like a shiny truck. So That's my, that's something that's a personal thing for me. I'm not going to tell somebody to go do it, but
it's company pride though. And, but for every person that likes the shiny truck, there's 5 that look like, oh, this truck's dirty and because we're busy and we go to work. And I like we're busy and we go to work, but the job's not through till the equipment's all ready, and the equipment being ready is the rig looking sharp. At the end of the day,
yes, that ownership and pride, and again, like I said, with the respect, all these little keywords they keep getting brought up. It's like rabbit holes, but at the same time, you start with empowerment, you go with trust, you then get into respect, and now we're into pride and ownership. And man, it's just all like we're discussing earlier, it's culture, and it just, all these little pieces are just part of the big picture. And when you can truly add all those things in there, and you can get into the culture thing, and something that Sean brought up earlier was, and I can't remember how you worded it, but basically building up leaders and teaching them and hoping that they carry on, after you. And that's kind of my goal as a leader, is to truly build tomorrow's leaders, build people into somebody that's better, that will be better than I am. And that's kind of part of it. And if I'm micromanaging him, go full circle here, if I'm micromanaging these people and have my hand in everything and don't trust them to do anything on their own, don't trust them to think on their own, how could I ever build leaders if I am doing that? You can't. It's impossible to teach anybody anything when you aren't allowing them to learn anything on their own. And so, like I said, go full circle. I think it's just all part of it.
You're making your firefighter zombies, like we mentioned earlier. You don't want them. You want the thinking guys. You like you said that, train your replacement. We've all heard that before. And
succession planning.
I'm not gonna, I'm in the final third of my career. If you look at it on a 30-year thing, I need to get that person that's in the top third to get squared away, so I can leave it in good hands.
Yep.
So,
well, unfortunately we're kind of little tight on time today, so I feel like there's a lot more to go. So maybe we can get back into it another time. But
Absolutely.
I definitely want to give you guys a chance to kind of tell people where they can find you, get a hold of you, anything you want to plug or anything else. So go ahead before we go and tell us whatever you want to get.
Okay, I'll go first, John.
All right, you go again. Remember, you are the star of the show.
Oh, stop it. So just, I'm on all social media just under my name, Sean Eagen. And coming up for me, I'm going to be in Jersey this weekend, actually taking it to the streets for working with Ecker Fire Tactics with a live fire weekend. I don't know when you're going to air this, Jeremy, but it's this weekend coming up. And then December 9th is Firehouse Expo Direct. I was privileged enough to get picked. So if you haven't signed up yet, you can get on firehouseexpo.com and sign up for it. It's basically a 2-day virtual learning event with, short little 1-hour sessions that a bunch of us are doing. And it should be a good time to kind of, as most of the country seems to be hitting that second surge of COVID, or if you will. So I'll be on there, and, like I said, I welcome everybody to hook up with me on social media. Again, I'm a lot of, Facebook, especially, stuff with the kids and the family, but as long as you're not too crazy with the politics and whatnot, I generally accept everybody as a friend. So Johnny boy, go ahead.
All right. You forgot to plug our show, the Thin Red Line Radio.
I was gonna let you do that.
All right. So yeah, Sean is the star of the Thin Red Line Radio. I'm the co-star, I guess. But we try and do a show every month, and we're due for one, Sean. So we got to figure that out sometime soon. but I can be found on at Beyond the Basics Fire Training on Facebook and on Instagram. Post a lot of stuff about the fire service. It's pretty much what we're doing, and basically just share knowledge and sharing information. It's so important to get that information out. And again, we talk about leadership, we talk about tactics. Jeremy, I really appreciate you having us on today to talk about culture, and micromanagement is definitely a plague in the fire service to a certain extent. But I think with shows like yours and Sean's and mine on Thin Red Line, trying to make better leaders for tomorrow and improve the leaders today, always trying to do something better, go and make the fire service better than you found it. And that's always, whether it's through training or leadership or whatever else. But thank you so much for having us on.
You're welcome, man. I truly enjoyed it. It was a very good conversation, and look forward to more with you guys. I really, again, I appreciate what you guys are doing for the fire service and the knowledge that you have and willing to share with everybody. So it's been very good to kind of learn from you, and it's an honor to have you on my little show. So thank you, and look forward to what's to come from you guys. So I appreciate it. Talk to you later.
No problem. I appreciate you again for having us on, and definitely we look forward to doing another show with you. We want on a different topic or continue to go down this rabbit hole of culture. And I think that's the newer word in the fire service that's coming out, the culture of the fire service and how it's changing, and for the good, for the bad, or for the ugly, But I think with shows like yours, we're improving it. We're, our listeners are hearing how to do things a little bit better and how to improve upon the things that are making life tough. And especially with this COVID thing, I think reaching out and listening to more people and recording podcasts, the social distancing thing, and it's just really, it's tough. And everybody's getting that COVID burnout right now, so we're tired of it, but let's do it. And you're doing a great job, and look forward to talking again in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Look up these guys, Thin Red Line Radio. Their podcasts are pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts. They've got some great ones that I've really enjoyed. So look them up through their training sites that they promoted just a little bit ago, and just keep an eye on them. They've got a lot to give. So thank you, everybody out there, for spending some time with us today. Look forward to the next time.
Thank you once again for spending some time with us today. I really appreciate you tuning in. I hope that you enjoyed the show and gained a little knowledge, a little growth, grabbed a few takeaways, and hopefully it'll carry you into the rest of the week, and look forward to seeing you again. Wanted to take a short amount of time to thank my podcast sponsor, Woods Forcible Entry Door Kit. It's a great product. I love it. I own one myself. We use it all the time at the firehouse that I'm at, and just really love it. Great tool for training, great tool for exercise and working out. And I've said it before, this is a group of guys that are doing great things for the fire service, and just a good, solid group of guys. So I'm very appreciative for being a part of that team. So thank you to them. Please go check them out. And as always, if you don't mind, share, like, subscribe, download, whatever it is on whatever platform that you're listening to. If you enjoy what you're hearing and appreciate the content and the guests, I would really appreciate taking a little bit of time and doing that for me. Just to kind of helps the visibility of the show, and just helps me, to be honest, know that I'm doing the right thing and headed the right direction. So thank you very much for everything you do, and sharing the show and just helping me get my message out. So thank you. Hope you have a great week. Look forward to having you back again. And until then, stay safe, take care of each other.